Hello, FlossTube world. This is my very first FlossTube video. I am MotoRuxin. While I'm new to the YouTube side of things, some of you may recognize me from my Twitch stream. I'm MotoRuxin. I've been streaming live on Twitch, started in gaming, but very soon after I started, moved over to the creative side, streaming my cross-stitching. So I've been doing that for 5 years now. And I had recently heard about, well, I guess not so recently. I'd heard about FlossTube a couple of years ago, but with me being so into Twitch, I never looked into it too much further. But now I've kind of decided, I've built this great community on Twitch. It's been a wonderful experience, and so I thought, why not expand into the YouTube side of things, because I'm sure there's lots and lots of people on YouTube who don't necessarily watch or even know what Twitch is. So like I said, I go by MotoRuxin. I'm the Moto. My dog's actually named Ruxin, so I kind of combined the two to make my handle like years and years ago. I think the very first thing I set up was maybe my Twitter, and I think I only made Twitter to follow my brother. Since then, obviously, I've gotten very big into social media, sharing all of my art. So I'm 30 years old. I'll be turning 31 here in September. So it's coming up so quick already. So my dog is an Australian Shepherd Terrier named Ruxin. He just turned 10 years old. And yes, I did, for those of you who've seen the TV show The League, I did name Ruxin after the character Rodney Ruxin. And it's funny because I had the name picked out before the dog. So I had to find the dog to match the name because I loved that name. So that's what we named our dog. And so I've combined him into my name, which I'll explain a little bit why. I work at a law firm downtown, so this isn't my full-time job. Cross-stitching is, I'm sure many of you who are into cross-stitch know it's very, very difficult to monetize it and make it too big of a business where you won't have to work. But it is, of course, a great hobby that I love, and I wish, obviously, I could just sit and cross-stitch all day, but so I do work a full-time job Monday through Friday at a law firm. I'm kind of like a legal assistant / paralegal, working for attorneys in all kinds of areas of law. I got into cross-stitching at a very young age. Both of my parents, I was lucky to have been born into a family where both parents cross-stitched, so my mom cross-stitched, and my dad did too. He said he had a very stressful job, and it really helped to alleviate the stress, because cross-stitching, I know for a lot of us, is a really good way to unwind. Sometimes, if you mess up, it can be a little stressful, but it's just the best for, chilling out after a long day at work. The best part about cross-stitching is you can take it anywhere. So, traveling, if you see me on an airplane, I'm going to have my cross-stitch out, first thing, working on whatever I can, because that's the thing about cross-stitch is it takes so long that, we kind of look at it like, okay, how many cross stitches can I do in my life? What all do I have to do? And I think that's kind of the great thing about FlossTube is we get to see it's like a show and tell of what you're working on, what you've done, and so I can watch and see what other people have worked on, because I know I'm not gonna stitch everything in my lifetime, so I love to see what other people are working on. So yeah, I think FlossTube's going to be a lot of fun for me. I have been married 8 years, and I have a stepson who's big into YouTube, so this will probably give him a kick to see me doing some videos on YouTube. Let's see, some more about me before I get into showing off some of the art. I used to read a lot, of course, with cross-stitching, you need your hands, so I don't really do much reading anymore, but I was huge into Dean Koontz as my number one author. That's actually kind of when I met my husband. We both were into Dean Koontz, so it was one of the, like, oh, we have something in common type of things, which, of course, yeah, now, with how obsessed I am with cross-stitch, I don't really do much unless you do, like, books on tape, but I'm actually more into TV and movies. Like, there's nothing better than cuddling up on the couch with your cross-stitch and binge-watching a TV show or watching a movie. I mean, the only thing that's a bummer is if you go to the movie theater. You can't really stitch at the movie theater because it's too dark. So maybe one day we'll make a movie theater for crafters where we have, like, some light so we can actually work while we're watching. And I mean, I've taken my cross-stitch everywhere. I remember when the Cubs won the World Series, we were at a bar, and I was cross-stitching, and we were, like, it was busy, and we were seated at the bar, and somebody came up and was like, oh, I hope the game isn't distracting you, you know, from your, they probably said knitting, because, you know, people always say knitting, even though it's cross-stitching, but, so some people think it's, like, you can't pay attention to both, but, I mean, I take it everywhere. Anywhere I go, you'll see me with my cross-stitch. Let's see. So, yeah, me and my husband finished watching Breaking Bad, and which I had seen it before, but my husband hadn't. So that was our recent binge watch show. And then El Camino, the movie, you know, that continues on after Breaking Bad's done. And like I said, I'm huge into TV movies, so probably each video I'll tell you what I'm either watching or, you know, recommend something. My favorite movie, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I know it's kind of weird because it's like, it's a super old movie. It's very young, Leonardo DiCaprio, Johnny Depp, lots of people in it. But it's hilarious. It's a drama, but also funny. And I don't know why, but that always kind of goes to the top of my favorite because it's so hard to pick, like, your favorite movie, your favorite TV show. But so those are kind of my, like, go-to of, you probably haven't seen this, but this is my favorite movie. Favorite color, purple, hands down. I feel like us crafty types tend to lean towards purple. Hobbies. So when I was a kid, I grew up riding horses. That was kind of my big thing. But since then, I've stopped riding horses after college, and I've actually started riding motorcycles. In 2012, I got my endorsement, which actually was the same year that me and my husband got married, so it's funny. So that's the Moto part of the MotoRuxin. So my dog's named Ruxin, Moto because I'm into motorcycles. I actually do have my own. I can throw up a picture here of me with my motorcycle. It's a Honda CB500F. I'm into the sportier bikes, not necessarily the cruisers. I guess you could call them the crotch rockets. So I ride. We also play golf, me and my husband do. I mean, I'm not great at golf, but it's kind of one of those things where it gets me out of the house, some exercise, and I've gotten okay at it, so it's fun. It is fun to... Oh, and here comes Ruxin. Ruxin, come here. I want to show Ruxin off to you guys because he is, like I said, he is my little partner in crime. He gets Cheez-Its on my Twitch stream whenever fun things happen. So I've got to show him to you. Come here. Come here. I wonder if he'll jump up here. Let's see if I can get you up. Come here. Come here. Come over here. Come here. Can you jump up? Oh, there you can kind of see him. There you are. All right, let's pick him up so that way you guys can see him a little better. He's a small little dude. He's only 20 pounds, but yeah, he's a big guy. And he hates sitting on my lap like this because he knows whenever I do this, it's usually to take photos of him, right? And he hates my photo sessions, don't you? All right, I can put you down. Do you want to back down? There you go. Okay. So yeah, he's my little buddy. Like I said, what other hobbies I'm into? I play pool, 8-ball and 9-ball, with my husband as well. We do a lot together, which I think is important, especially when you have a hobby like cross-stitch, which is so, solitary. That kind of, keeps you from doing other things like playing board games or something. So we do a lot together. So we play APA pool, which is a lot of fun. So I'm on a couple leagues there. I've also done some other crafting, not a lot of different crafts because, you know, of course, obsessed with cross stitch first and foremost. But I've done some diamond painting, which, you know, it's basically cross stitch but with those little gem diamonds. I've done some gosh, I always say it wrong, metal earth kits. Here's one I did. It's like a little motorcycle that these are a lot of fun if you like hands-on stuff and you don't need glue or anything. They come as kind of like sheets of metal that you like cut out, or you kind of like punch them out, and then they just kind of tabs get inserted together, and it makes the little model like that. Let me see what else. I never did learn to knit or crochet. I know my grandma did. I think she did knitting. But I never learned how to do that. My obsession became cross stitch first and foremost, always. Pretty much any given day I'm going to be cross stitching, which of course my husband's like, oh, big surprise, you're cross stitching. So yeah, because if I'm not doing something where I can't cross stitch, I will be, which gets me into the next part here where I'm going to actually start showing you guys some of the things that I've done. I actually have a lot to show you guys because, so for those of you who don't know, Stitch Mania is a big thing. This is my second year where I've done Stitch Mania, so I have a whole bunch of those projects where in the month of May, I know people do it different ways. I do it every single day you have to start a new project. So it kind of, you know, it's supposed to inspire you to, like, if you haven't had that stitchy bug, to pick it up and get working on some stuff, or some people use it as a way to work on work in progresses they already have. They set different goals. But yeah, me, I'm crazy, and I like to cross stitch new project, start, sometimes try to finish it because I try to keep them small every single day. And this year I also streamed it, so I have a whole bunch of stuff that I can show you there. But first, I think what I will do is show you guys some of my older stuff that I have worked on before I got into Twitch streaming. So yeah, let me get those out for you. All right. So first, I want to show you some of my oldies but goodies. These are ones that I worked on a long time ago. I think this first one that I worked on, this is a tiger that I think was on, 14 count? This is probably one of my first bigger finishes. I think I maybe started with some like smaller little kits. This is a Janlin kit that, you know, you probably got it off of like Hobby Lobby or Joann. In the kit section, they always had a great section of kits, which I think when you're first starting cross stitch is kind of the best way to do it. I was lucky that I had parents who were big into cross stitch, so they already had a lot of the materials for me ready to go. But I did get into kits and stuff. So yeah, like I said, this tiger, it's funny because I made this for my dad, but a few years ago my parents got divorced, so a lot of the stuff they downsized, so this guy found his way back to me. So now he's my tiger, my tiger guy. So yeah, I put him in a nicer frame. I think my frame jobs have definitely gotten better over the years. Some things I've had professionally framed, some things I usually will just throw them in some kind of picture frame. But like I said, this is probably my oldest out of the ones that I still have. I'll put him over here. All right, let's see. This is one that I did another kit. It's a dimensions kit, I believe, also 14 count. Put your whole heart and soul into what you love. I actually have this hanging here. It's a little dusty. I have it hanging in my craft room here. So this is actually my stream room where I stream stuff, so I thought of course I should record here in my stream room. Plus it's just beautiful light in here. So yeah, this is like I said, a kit. Like I said, I did a lot of kits starting out. And I do have some bigger ones here that I'm excited to show off. Let's see, I think I did this one before this one, so I'll show this guy next. So this one is another kit, a ginormous one. This is called a Treasured Time. It's a Dimensions kit. It was super fun. Probably one of the more advanced pieces. I think the tiger that I did had some back stitching and stuff, and so did the other one. But this one actually had French knots, which I will say when I was younger is so hard to learn how to do a French knot. You guys with YouTube are so spoiled because people can show you literally how to do French knots, but I had to basically use those little pieces of paper instructions that taught you how to make a French knot, and it took some getting used to, but I finally was able to get that down. So there's a lot of French knots, there's some half stitching, so this, yeah, I think this was, and I get this, I've kept this one. I tend to give away or sell a lot of my pieces. This one I keep and I get out every holiday. Oh, so I'll put you over here. So that's, yeah, Christmas decoration. It always comes out, and I'll probably never give that one away or sell it, because that's mine, near and dear. This one is also one that I've kept, but I gave to my stepson when he was little. So this one was, let's see, it's called The Tinkerbell and Peter Pan Flying Over Neverland. This is one of those big, ginormous Disney Dreams collections, the Thomas Kincaid. So this has, you know, a lot of back stitching. I think it also has French knots, and it does have, what do you call it? This like sparkly blending filament. That's what it is, blending filament, which was a pain to do because you basically combine that with regular thread, and it makes a lot of it sparkly. So there's like sparkly stitches, I think, mostly around Tinkerbell, and then like the clock tower is a lot of that blending filament. But yeah, this is a giant one. This one I was working on when I was in college. I think this was one of those pieces. So this is when I really got into cross stitch more on the big side of things. I remember working on it and probably neglecting my studies a little more so than I should have. But yeah, I think this is what really sparked me into doing a lot more projects and eventually getting into moving away from these kits, because all of these were kits that I bought. So I eventually moved over into making my own patterns or buying kind of, you know, more pop culture-y patterns from other people, which will lead me into my next section. I'm going to kind of have this broken up into little sections of different things just because I have so much stuff to show you guys. Alright, now I think I'm ready to show you guys these, what I like to call the big booty projects, and some other odds and ends things that I've worked on. But yeah, these are big booty projects that have taken me a long time to do that I'm super, super proud of. So let's start, well, let me start actually with some of the smaller ones and get to the bigger ones, just because that's how I have them set up here. So this one is a Spinal Tap inspired cross stitch that I believe I did this years and years ago, probably like towards the beginning of my Twitch streaming, maybe like 4.5 years ago. So this is volume up to 11. I believe it was from Stitch Out Loud was who originally created the pattern, but I don't even think they have a shop any longer. I think they originally did this pattern in like 2008. So otherwise I would give you guys all that info, but like I said, I don't think she has a shop anymore. But yeah, this one was super fun. Let's see, what's next? Like I said, I have a lot of goodies to show you. This one is the King of the Hill cross stitch. I made the pattern for this guy, and this was a Stitch Mania, well, I started it first in Stitch Mania last year, but I finished it this year after Stitch Mania, just because I was like, I need to start getting some things done. And I had finished some other bigger projects this year, which I'll show you those here momentarily, but that kind of opened me up to have more time to finish these guys. So it's a lot of stitching, whole bunch there, but they're super cool. It's probably one of my favorite cartoon shows that I grew up watching with my dad. So funny. I actually just rewatched it not too long ago, from start to finish, all of the episodes, because I think it was on like Hulu maybe. And so yeah, still as great this time around as it was, when I was growing up and watching it with my dad. So that's a great one. I love that pattern so much. It's so fun. This one was more recent as well. This was a Stitch Mania start as well. I obviously didn't finish it the same day. He's a little bit bigger. But yeah, this is my, but that's none of, I always say, but that's none of your business. But it's none of my business. It's the Kermit meme drinking the Lipton tea. So yeah, I love this one. I love pop culture ones. I love memes. I just like the more modern patterns that are like super fun to do, because that's the great thing about cross stitch is you can literally stitch anything. I mean, your kid could draw a picture, you could turn that into a cross stitch, which I'll kind of get into what I use after a while. I don't think I have my notes here, but yeah, so I'll explain what all I use to make my patterns. But yeah, this is one of my cooler ones. I really like this guy a lot. He's super cool. Let's see. Next, here we go. This is a Pabst Blue Ribbon. I call him the PBR dude because I found some art that somebody had done and turned it into a pattern, because I have a local bar that does a Pabst Blue Ribbon art contest, and so I transformed some really cool PBR looking stuff into a cross stitch, stitched that, and then entered that into the contest, which I won 3rd place with this guy. I entered again this year. There was a 1st and 2nd place. Well, there was 2 people that won 1st place, which I'll have the photo up of the one that I entered this year. And so then I basically got 2nd place, but it was basically 3rd place again, because there was a 2-way tie for 1st, and then they just had me as technically 2nd, even though I was, basically 3rd. But yeah, so this is a really cool contest. I don't find there's too many things to enter my art into besides the state fair. So anytime I can find some kind of, local art contest to enter stuff in. Cross stitch is so unique. I'm always the only one entering a cross stitch into the contest. So it's a super fun way to, kind of challenge myself to, meet a deadline and enter something really cool in. My brother actually does wood burning, and so he told me about this contest originally that our local bar does. And so he entered. He actually got 2nd place the first year that we did it, and then just this year he didn't place, so I kicked his booty this year. But I'll probably enter something next year. We'll see. I have a lot of aspirations of things to work on that it's so hard to find the time to just, dedicate myself to one particular project, because I have a tendency to work on a lot of things at once, as I'm sure many of you do. But let me see, that brings me to, the next thing. This was my first stitch along. This is called the Happy Little Stitch Along. It's a full coverage piece. I stitched it on 28 count and just did half stitches, but still took us a long time. So my friend Kari Warning, she's actually the one that did it. It's called the Happy Little Stitch Along. I actually met Kari, so she goes by Kari Warning on Twitch. I met her through Twitch, and so she has gotten me into a lot of the things that I probably would have never done had I not met her. We've become, like I said, the best of friends since then. So she does this stitch along. So she is, let me see, where are my notes? I'll have her information here, I think in another section. But like I said, she releases the pieces I think we started out every 2 weeks, and then people kind of got overwhelmed, and so they changed to every 3 weeks. But yeah, it's this great kind of Bob Ross inspired painting. It's not an actual Bob Ross stitch along, but it's called the Happy Little Stitch Along, inspired by Bob Ross. So I put it in kind of a wood frame. So this is one I'm going to keep for myself because, like I said, this took us like a long time, like a year and a half, trying to, I think maybe even a little bit more than that, trying to keep up with all my other works and progresses and making sure that I stayed caught up even through Stitch Mania. I think I got a couple pieces behind on Stitch Mania this year, but it ended up being, I was able to finish shortly after the very last piece was released. So it's my first and maybe only, I won't say probably, I'll say maybe only stitch along I do, just because it is so hard to keep up with everything else I want to do, and I always feel guilty if I fall behind. But that was a really, really, really fun one that I finished this year. Which brings me to the next one here. This is a big one. This one I call the Carrying Cats. Like I said, my friend Kari Warning. This is some of art that she had done by Joan Veritek, who goes by Pinko Pigtails on her social media. So she had done this art, and I reached out to her and was like, hey, can I turn this into a cross stitch and make it for Kari? And she's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. That was a long ass time ago. This was, we joked the project that I would never actually get done until we were like little old ladies, but I really focused, got it done this year, got it framed at my local cross stitch store. They do an excellent job. It's called Stitch and Frame. They are like a local mom and pop place, which I love. I love supporting local. And they did a great job helping me pick out the frame, and so when I did this, like, in order to get the details that I wanted, I had to make it ginormous, which is huge, but in order to fill in the couch, I use this technique called brick stitching. So it's actually an embroidery technique, which cut down my stitch time immensely. Like, if I were to, because this is 22 count, if I was to actually stitch every single square, we probably would have been old ladies by the time I finished. Now everything else is filled in with cross stitching, so the dress, legs, like everything else besides the couch is actual cross stitching. So I need to get this to her. I don't want to mail it because, I'm terrified that it would break. So we met over Twitch. So I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and she originally lived in Chicago at the time, so we were able to visit each other pretty regularly. Well, she moved to North Carolina, so now I have to make the 14-hour trip, driving. And then, of course, COVID happened, and so I finally got this done, and now we can't visit each other until, COVID kind of clears out. But yeah, so I do intend to give this to her. I have been meaning to finish this forever, and then of course it takes a pandemic to keep me from getting it to her. So there you go. Oh, and what I do love about my cross stitch store, so as you can see, like, I know on some of my other pieces the reflection is really bad, but this is like specialty, almost like museum quality glass where it really cuts down on the glare. So I spare no expense with my bigger projects. The little ones, not so much. But, which that brings me to one of my favorite ones. So this is my Eagle cross stitch. This was one that I started, the glare's not too bad on this one. I thought I had bought the same kind, but I think I might have bought the regular glass on this one. But, so this guy, I started before I was even streaming on Twitch, so like 5 years ago, a little bit before. I had started him, and then I had got into Twitch streaming and stitching, And I was like, well, I don't really think people would want to watch me work on this because it's just such a giant, boring piece to watch someone stitch, you know? Like, normally people like to watch stuff that, you know, you can see good progress, but I was surprised that people were really encouraging me to finish this dude. So, I used pick2pat.com to turn a photo of an eagle into a cross stitch pattern, which, I mean, it's very photorealistic. It's bananas. It's also a lot of stitching. I will say Pick2Pat is great for photos if you just want to, you know, turn a photo into a pattern but not, you know, make any changes to it. Because it pretty much just, you upload it, you kind of work around your sizing and stuff and colors and stuff, and then it just spits out a PDF. You can't really change anything, which was fine for this because it does a great job with, like, colors. Compared to some other software. But again, you're limited on what you can actually change. So this guy I entered in the state fair, Indiana State Fair last year, and we got first place. I had entered before. I had entered the Simpsons cross stitch that I had done, which I had gotten an honorable mention. They took off some points because I didn't do a great job framing it. But this last year, I made sure to get it professionally done, because when you're competing in a cross-stitch category, like at a fair, they're very particular on everything, including finishing. So if you kind of are doing a big piece, you probably want to frame it properly, just so that way, you know, I mean, you spent all that time doing it, why not? Like, make sure that it's done right. Oh yeah, I guess I can show you, there's one more here. This is actually one of the few pieces I have finished that I just haven't framed yet. This one was a Stitch Mania finish this year. It's the Randy Marsh from South Park. I thought this was America. It's by Boo Stitches, is the pattern designer. So she has etsy.com/au/shop/Boo Stitches. Boo is in, like, Ghost Boo. So I bought that pattern from her, and I had been wanting to stitch it forever. Stitch Mania is a great excuse to actually, you know, do it. So this was one that I've gotten done. I just need to iron it, frame it, and it'll be ready to go. I am super excited to show you guys these things, because these things are kind of special to me, which of course I don't keep it a secret where I get them or, you know, how I make them, but magnets have really become a big thing for me. On my Twitch stream, we do Magnet Monday, where each Monday we'll start on or work on a magnet. So the magnets that I use, they're acrylic cases, which let me show you what those look like before I kind of show you all what I've made out of them. So they're acrylic casings with, like, a magnetic backing that just snaps in. And I use a hot glue gun to seal them shut, just because sometimes with cross stitch, like, these are for photos, but obviously I use my finished cross stitch pieces to pop them in there, and sometimes knots or, you know, all that thread can make them a little tight and kind of, you know, popping out a little bit. So just adding that layer of hot glue really seals that, make sure that they don't pop open. But I'm going to go ahead and start off. Oh, like I said, I buy them from bbdesign.com. And in order to get the link, you could go to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MotoRuxin, type !magnet, or magnets, I think plural or singular, and it'll give you the link to this particular one that I buy. They're 2.35 inches by 1.55 inches, and they're 1/4 of an inch thick. So they're very durable, heavy duty. They're great. I love them. But I'm going to go through, and I have them kind of separated out because lately I have been super, super addicted to the patterns by, La Selva Design. So they're at etsy.com/shop/La Selva Design. They're also on Instagram. He's laselva.design on Instagram. But he does the most darling little, so they're animals. So this is a corgi. So I'm going to kind of go through and show you all of the ones that he's designed first before I kind of show you the rest of my magnets that I've made. But yeah, this super, super freaking cute. Like I said, that's the corgi. Here's a llama head. So they're all just so realistic looking, and that's what I really, really love about them. Let's see here. We've got a giant panda. Like I said, so freaking realistic. It's insane. And so I throw all these and I just trim them down, put them in magnet casings. Here's a fox. We've got a sleeping pug, which is so freaking cute. Love them. A giraffe. The giraffe is super cool. We've got raccoon, which is probably my favorite. Now, I had reached out to La Selva Design, the artist, and said, hey, I've had people say, if you do a raccoon, I would love that. So I reached out, and not too long after, he designed some raccoon patterns. So I was so thankful. He's the nicest guy, super great. Like I said, I want to stitch all of the patterns that he has made. So this is a decorated llama. I think I did this on Cinco de Mayo in May, so for Stitch Mania. So freaking cute. Here's a little sloth. We've actually started doing on my Twitch stream where people, I don't tell people which La Selva Design animal I'm doing, and they try to guess. Because some of them, like I said, they look so photorealistic, but as you're stitching them, they really don't look like much of anything until these colors, come together, and it's just so awesome. Here's a little, I think long-eared owl is this one. So freaking cute. I love them. And I mean, when I started doing magnets, I was thinking, some people were cross-stitching, keychains, or there's other things that you can make with cross-stitch. But I was thinking, well, what is something that everyone has? Everyone has a fridge that you can put, magnets on. And finding these was amazing. It's great. They make great presents for people. Here's a little koala. And what I found the greatest about these casings is that they're small enough that they limit me, because I have a tendency to do big projects. They limit my size, but then they're big enough that, if you do 28 count, you can do a fairly decent size, design in there. So they're kind of perfect for that. Oh, and here's, so sometimes La Selva Design has a bonus pattern in there too. So these macaron cookies, I don't call them macaroons, but I know they're macarons. Macaron cookies was a bonus one that came in one of these that I purchased. So I love that about him too. He throws in these bonus ones. Oh, and look at, here's this adorable hippo coming out of the water. I like to kind of change up my Ada cloth colors too, and do kind of all kinds of different colors. Here's little owl. So cute. I think a Chaco owl. It's got a weird name, but it's so freaking cute. And then this little tiger cub. It's so adorable. Look at how precious. Like I said, they're so photorealistic looking, but they're so simple, small enough that they can fit in these. You could stitch them on anything really, but they're so adorable. And like I said, I'm addicted to these casings. Here are some magnets so I was going to mention that I do my own patterns, which I use Wind Stitch to design those. And I also use, there's this great color picking website that actually one of my viewers on Twitch set up for me, and for any cross stitcher. I'll provide the link for you, and probably in the description because it's a longer link. But you basically upload a photo, and you kind of pick the color out of it that you want, and then it recommends DMC thread colors. So it can kind of help you when you're designing patterns to pick out what colors, because sometimes I know how hard it is to pick out what color you want for different things. But yeah, so here are some that I've made. Here's a little Poochie. Now, this is one that I keep on my fridge, so this is one that is not for sale. He's just super cute for me to keep. This one I gave to my stepson, who's big into hockey and loves the Mighty Ducks, of course. Best movie. So this is on our fridge as well. And then I made one for my husband from Invader Zim Gurr. I had to make him one. I think, like I said, they make great Christmas presents. So these were little Christmas presents. And now I also have a whole bunch of other magnets here that I'm super excited to show off. Here is a little Binding of Isaac. It's my favorite game to play. I stream that on Twitch sometimes. Not as much lately because I've been doing so much cross-stitching. Here's a little Where's Waldo? Little Where's Waldo dude. Here's Elmo. So cute. Here's a little trick-or-treat sucker. It's from my favorite, probably my favorite horror movie, called Trick or Treat, with like this like little knapsack, hooded little kid monster thing. And it's just a great horror movie if you're into that. But yeah, that's inspired from that movie. Let's see here. Oh, here's some Yoshi heads in different colors. So there's kind of like a cornflower blue, got a pink one. Some of these are left over from a couple of years ago. Here's a yellow one. So every year I do a booth at this local LAN/convention called, I almost said TwitchCon, but that's not it. It's FortCon. So here in Fort Wayne, where I live. So it's a big bring your own computer event where like 300 plus computers, you can bring your own computer set up. And so I do a booth where I bring my computer as well, stream from it, and then also sell some cross stitches. Well, of course, due to COVID this year, it's going to be a virtual event. So unfortunately, I won't have a booth like I normally do. But I am going to be doing a kind of online sale where I'm going to kind of do a Google form. So a lot of these things that you've seen that I've shown will be for sale on that form, which I'll provide the link and stuff to later and announce when that goes live. But it's going to be October 16th, I believe, is the weekend of October 16th is when they're going to be doing a virtual LAN instead of an in-person event, which is a bummer for me because I love to talk to people, share my love of cross-stitch with them, and show people what I've made. And so all of these were inventory I was making to get ready for that event. But of course, like I said, now COVID has made that not a thing. But I'm still going to be doing an online sale, so I will be able to ship to people when they purchase. So like I said, a lot of these magnets will be for sale. We've got Bender here, so I've got a few Futurama dudes. We got Bender, Fry. Oh, you'll hear my dog occasionally bark, but dog owners, I'm sure, understand. We've got Zoidberg here. Look at how cool he is. Like I said, I have a ton of magnets, so this is going to take a wee while. Because like I said, a lot of these are from last year as well. These little skull candles on their heads. So cool. Let's see here. We've got Goofy and Captain Underpants. I love him. Super cute, of course. Many of us grew up reading these books, so I love that one. Like I said, I have a couple left over from last year. I had done more superheroes, but I only had Iron Man and this tiny little Hulk left over from those. I sold a lot of the other ones. I do have another kind of pack of dudes. More South Park guys. So we got Butters here. Butters and Kyle and Stan. They're super cute little dudes. So all these are magnets. Cartman and Kenny. Of course, can't have all these dudes without Kenny. Got a little cow. Like I said, a lot of these are from Stitch Mania this year. They're small little pieces that I could start, sometimes finish the same day. So these were great for Stitch Mania. Here's a SpongeBob. I love this one so much. He's so cool. I've got, like I said, I'm into the memes and kind of funny stuff. So here's a little surprised Pikachu. Look at how cool he is. Love him. Oh, like I said, I just finished watching Breaking Bad. So here's a little Walter White Heisenberg magnet. We've got Betty Boop right here, which I love Betty Boop, and I also love motorcycles, and I have, of course, I have a cross-stitch tattoo here of a heart, and then there's my biker chick Betty Boop here, so love that magnet, of course. Here's little spaceship abducting a cow, which is done on really cool Ada cloth that my friend Kari Warning hand dyes, which I'll give you the link to that, her shop and stuff as well. But yeah, super cool. Love that one. Oh, I've got a couple Adventure Time guys. We've got BMO from the cartoon Adventure Time, and we've got Jake the dog here. So cute. Love that show. Oh, yeah, if anybody's into Neopets, I did a little, I grew up with Neopets, so here's a little Poppet Neopet. He's a pet, not a Neopet, so he's the pet that belongs to your pet, and he's super cute, and he was super fun to do. Here's another Disney-inspired one. Got Genie from Aladdin right there. Oh, I've got, let me show you. Oh, here's another, we got like Tigger. Cute little Tigger hopping on his tail. So adorable. We've got, we got a Buzz Lightyear. I just recently finished him from Stitch Mania. He was my very last day of Stitch Mania. I started him and then set him aside because this is 28 count, a lot of stitching. I really didn't want to work on him, but I finally finished him recently. Oh, here's a little bowl of ramen. Love this one. It's so cute. And we've got a little Rick and Morty. Like I said, I'm very big into cartoons and silly stuff, so these guys are adorable little guys, like little pocket ones. Oh, here's Animal. Jim Henson's Muppets Animal. And here's like a little Lucky Cat statue that I did recently. And here's, if anyone grew up watching Ren and Stimpy, which, like I said, my family were big into the silly cartoons and like 90s stuff like that. So this is, I always want to call him French Toast Man, but this is Powdered Toast Man. So he is, of course, the hero in the commercials on the Ren and Stimpy cartoon. So Powdered Toast Man, he's awesome. Oh, and then I have a few other ones, which these are really cool. Now this one's just kind of normal stitching. This is a skeleton. Oh, there we go. The glare sometimes is ridiculous. A little skeleton brontosaurus, the long neck dinosaur. And then now these guys, these skeletons have, I use glow in the dark thread. So they actually glow in the dark. Which maybe I'll throw up a photo up here so you can see what they look like glowing, because it's really, really cool. And it glows really well even through the magnet and everything. And then this one's also really cool, also glows in the dark, but in a different way. Not the thread glows in the dark, but the Ada cloth glows in the dark. So, which the glow in the dark Ada fabric I bought at my local crosser store, super neat. It basically is great for silhouette work, like if you're doing something that has a really cool silhouette. But I think I've only found it in like 28 count. Wish you could stitch over too and make it 14 count. But yeah, so I think that's all of the magnets. Like I said, there's a lot of them, and I'm always working on more. So there'll be plenty more to come in the following videos. But that'll bring us to our next section here. I will show you guys what else I have done all ready to go. All right, so next up we have another kind of section of stuff. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of stuff stitched up, ready to go to show you guys. So I wanted to kind of break it up into kind of like items. So these are kind of when I'm working on something and it's too big to fit into a magnet, I kind of size up to this 4x4 inch frame. Now what I like about these is they can either be hung, or you can break this little piece off and then put it there, and then you can stand it up. So they're super cheap. I get them at Walmart. They're perfect for, like I said, small gifts and stuff. And if you're kind of working on something a little bit bigger that I can't squeeze into a magnet, because like I said, magnets are only so big, so I'll have to size up to these. So a lot of these are just because they're too big to fit into a magnet. So a lot of these, like I said, will be from Stitch Mania. Here's a big old fat Pikachu here. This guy is the Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. You know, the killer plant that tries to have Seymour kill for him. One of my favorite like horror-y type movies, although it's a musical, but still great. Here's, like I said, more memes. I love a good silly meme. So here's a derpy SpongeBob. Of course, it's still from the SpongeBob cartoon where he's pretending to be a chicken. But it's derpy SpongeBob. Here is a little bit of sparkly on there. This is from E.T. So we've got, again, this is the black sparkly Ada cloth that my friend Kari Warning hand dyes. So she takes opalescent Ada cloth, hand dyes it black. So like I said, she's Kari Warning is her first and last name. Kari Warning on Twitch. She has a website, 8bitstitch.com. And then she's also on Etsy.com/shop/8bitstitching. So, and I'll, of course, provide all that for you, because sometimes she'll do batches of these, and she's been getting into hand dyeing some other Ada cloth that are really cool, and she does also sell tons and tons of cool patterns. So she's a great one to check out. Here's a little Gizmo wearing a Santa hat. Super cute. Love me some gremlins. And again, you can tell I'm very big into horror. A lot of these are horror related. You got Jigsaw from the Saw movies. I binge watched all those while I was making them recently. Oh, but here, I'm a huge fan, even though I'm not a cat person myself because I'm allergic. And obviously I have a dog. But here's Pusheen, one of my favorite cats, eating a bunch of ice cream. So again, this is when something is just a little bit too big for a magnet, I will upsize it. And then I did this on its sparkly Ada cloth, kind of hard to see. But opalescent is some of my favorite. Again, more opalescent. Here's a little Peppa Pig. Another one of my Stitch Mania dudes. Because, like I said, when you're doing Stitch Mania and you want to commit to actually starting a project every single day in the month of May, keep them small, which was annoying on this guy because I actually miscounted somewhere over here and I had to frog out a bunch and then stitch it again. So even though sometimes you start and try to keep yourself small, messing up will still set you back. So you don't want to mess up, as most of you know. Here is probably one of my favorite ones. Now this one isn't my pattern. This one is, let me see, who did this one? Ginger Stitch made the Falcor from Neverending Story. gingerstitch.etsy.com. Very, very cool pattern. And like I said, too big for a magnet and looks great on opalescent Ada cloth. Here's another one that I didn't design, but super cool. So it's, again, another meme. Homer backing up into the bushes. So cool. This is a Happy Sloth pattern design. So happyslothpatterns.etsy.com. He's just super cool. Backing up. And it was like another one of those Stitch Mania ones. Very time consuming. Didn't finish them the first day, of course, but over a few days. And then I also have a few other things. This is kind of what I'm known for. So the funny story here is when I started streaming on Twitch, like I said, I wasn't even cross-stitching, but I got into cross-stitching, and what I love about the Twitch community is I get input from people, and I can work on stuff to give away to people. And I started stitching these little poops that say, have a nice poop. This is acrylic thread, so sparkly rainbow, have a nice poop. I also have this pink one on pink Aida cloth, also sparkly pink acrylic, and then this one is a cool like sunglasses one where he's wearing sunglasses but always telling you to have a nice poop. So I have actually kind of become the poop person, the poop cross stitcher, because people were seeing these, like the couple that I had stitched, and was like, oh my god, I'd love one for my bathroom. And so I've kind of become the poop stitcher here. So I have this thing called the poop incentive, which is for donations. People donate to a certain amount, then I'll give away a poop. And then I also have subscriber incentives for people to, when they subscribe for so long, they can get a custom poop from me. So poop has really become my thing, which, like I said, is why I'm going to be giving away these really adorable little poop coasters for my 24-hour 5-year streamiversary coming up here. So like I said, you just have to be following me on Twitch in order to enter to win those. And like I said, it'll probably be my last one ever because it's crazy and very exhausting, and I'm sure anyone who crafts or sits at a computer all day knows how much of a toll it takes on your body. But so those are all of my 4x4 little dudes, and yeah, like I said, they're perfect size if you just have something a little too big for a magnet but a little too small for something like bigger. It's just like the perfect little 4x4 frames. Alright, so next up we have whips, which are WIP work in progresses. So I've shown you a whole bunch of stuff already, which this year I'm calling it the year of the Moto because I had kind of goaled myself at finishing a whole bunch of stuff, so that way all these things that I kept setting aside, like the carrying cats, that giant one, while finishing the Happy Little Stitch Along. We finished the Eagle here last year. Like, I just wanted to get caught up on a bunch of stuff. Like, King of the Hill was another one I started last Stitch Mania. So I wanted to get everything done to a point where I hardly had any works in progresses. I mean, I'm the type of person who has a million projects going on all at once, and you kind of just rotate between whatever you want. But yeah, so I actually only have a few works in progress to show you guys, but I am going to show you, first of all, this kind of didn't fit in any of the other categories, and it kind of goes to show some of the stuff I'm getting into, which would be t-shirts. A good friend of mine that I met through Twitch and Twitter and all that good stuff is Lady Vader. She had the idea to cross-stitch. She does a lot of Pokemon, really cool stuff on the pockets of t-shirts. And I was like, oh my god, such a good idea. I was so hesitant to do it myself because, waste canvas, stitching on clothing, it's very nerve-wracking. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, and it's kind of more time-consuming just because it is kind of harder to stitch on something that you don't have, the holes already in. Waste canvas, of course, I'll show you here in a second because I'm working on something else using waste canvas. But it's a little different. Kind of had my work cut out for me teaching myself and learning, but Lady Vader was great. She kind of gave me a lot of tips and stuff. So this was my first one, Totoro here, where I stitched on a t-shirt. So it turned out really well. I'm really excited, and I have a whole nother ginormous stack of t-shirts like ready to go that I can stitch on. Some women's, some men's / unisex, like they're giant. I've washed and dried them, hoping they'd shrink a little, which I think they did. So I'm going to have a whole bunch of those to go, which I think I'm going to be adding those to my virtual sale, where somebody could commission me to make something on a t-shirt. There will be quite a wait list, I imagine, depending on how popular these are. But this guy will also be for sale. It says extra small, but it's like small-ish, small to medium. It's kind of bigger. But yeah, it turned out really well. I used waist canvas, 28 count. Very hard to get out, and I actually snagged the shirt a little bit when I was getting it out, which I think the VOD would still be up on Twitch because I streamed me trying to get that out. But I ended up actually ripping a tiny hole in it, like I snagged it, and so I had to add these little soot sprites to cover up that hole, and it turned out so like cuter than I anticipated. So the t-shirts are kind of something that I'll have ongoing, so it kind of fit into my work in progress there. The next work in progress I have, I'm super excited about, is a hat. I haven't stitched on a hat before. So as you can see, here's the waist canvas, basted on, and I've already cross-stitched the red and the white letter ring there of Jurassic Park. So super excited about that. So basically, I have this like sticky stuff as well that I put on the back. Again, Lady Vader's recommendation. That's what she does to kind of strengthen it a bit. And then, also on the shirt, I have this stuff that I iron on the back, and it kind of has this protective layer over it. Kind of like what people use over embroidery stuff. Like you just kind of, it covers everything up so you won't feel those knots or loose threads or anything on it, which is really cool. So I'll probably do the same thing for this hat. Once I get all, like, most of the sticky stuff off, I'll iron on that backing to cover it. So it's very slow going, though very difficult to stitch on. This fabric is much thicker than the t-shirt. That's a very thin t-shirt, very easy to stitch on, but this very thick, and there's a seam going down the middle that's also very thick to stitch through, so it hurts your finger a little bit, but I'm pretty excited to see how it turns out. You know, like I said, this is something to try. I have a couple other hats that I can stitch on where I might not stitch one big thing, I might stitch just two little things on either side, so it won't be as difficult to stitch through that seam. But that's my current work in progress that I've started, with the hopes of selling that on my virtual sale. We've got this little, I don't know, for those of you who are into Neopets like me, 90s kid, I started this Kachik Neopet a while ago, a long time, I think pre-Stitch Mania and everything, and I just never got around to finishing him, so he's technically still a work in progress. He's just so much stitching. I think I just kind of like set him aside and didn't touch him for a while, so I may break him out again and try to finish him one day. And then I have one more thing. I have this Snoopy holding a hockey stick. I've got the white stitched. I've got the hockey stick color, that like wood color, is done. So what I'll probably do is finish the blue, and it's gonna be a blue and red hat, and then outline in black, and then that will be done. So like I said, I don't really have very many works in progress. I'm hoping in the future I will have a lot more to show you guys. Of course, I'll keep doing all of the magnets, all that good stuff. And maybe I'll start something bigger soon as well. I'm hoping to keep doing more of these videos. It's a lot of fun. Again, I'm real hopeful to build a nice YouTube community, just like I did with Twitch, because I've met amazing people. It's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of show and tell rather than always, be just streaming live. Again, I'm on all kinds. I'll post up a social media thing where you can see on all the platforms I'm on, so you can kind of see my day-to-day stuff. I have a lot of the patterns that you've seen, a lot of the stitch stuff. I have an Etsy, MotoRuxin stitches, but I also have a Patreon, because a lot of things, with copyright issues, you can't have on Etsy. So I've started a Patreon as well. All that stuff I'll link in the description for you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments as well. It's a whole different thing not being on Twitch, because normally if someone has a question, they just ask me live, but this is different. But I'm excited. It's, like I said, it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing many more. So again, those upcoming events, my 24-hour stream coming up here next weekend, and then for the FortCon virtual sale will be in October. So plenty to look forward to, and I'm excited to be part of this new community. So thank you guys for welcoming me to the FlossTube side of things. So nice to meet you guys.